What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video. And Liverpool's main transfer targets are a defensive midfielder, a centre-back and a goal-scoring fast winger. Let me know who do you want Liverpool to sign in the comments below. And it looks like we have our first primary transfer target picked out for the defensive midfield spot. Manuel Ugarte has been put up for sale by Paris Saint-Germain, according to the French outlet L'Equipe, which is the biggest and one of the most reliable French newspapers and sports newspapers. PSG have put several members up for sale of their squad, including Manuel Ugarte, who Liverpool were heavily linked with before PSG acted quicker and bought him for £52 million, that's 60 million euros. So PSG would expect to at least recoup that money, but maybe they would accept a lower offer. And Paris Saint-Germain's squad is so stacked, they need to get rid of some players in order to fund the next Kylian Mbappe. Mbappe has already announced that he's leaving Paris Saint-Germain. Curiously, he hasn't announced which club he is going to, but I think we can safely assume it's Real Madrid. And according to the L'Equipe, PSG are looking to sell Manuel Ugarte, Milan Skriniar, Nordi Mukiele and Carlos Soler, and it hasn't been a great season for Manuel Ugarte in Paris Saint-Germain, but PSG expect him to have quite a few suitors because he's still young, only 23 years old. He's very promising defensive midfielder, and he still played quite a fair few games. He has 8 games in the Champions League, 36 games in total for PSG. He hasn't scored, but he got 3 assists in total, but he hasn't started that many games regularly for Paris Saint-Germain. He was on the bench a few times without getting substituted, but when he played, the majority of his games came as a starting player. He started all of the group stage games apart from the last game in the Champions League against Dortmund, but then in the knockout stages he was relegated to the bench and he only came on twice as a substitute. So something changed between the first half of the season, where Ugarte wasn't ever present starting regularly. He got benched 4 times, until the end of January, and after that he still started quite a lot of games in the French league. So it's not like he hasn't played a lot of games, it's just like the Paris Saint-Germain think that they can upgrade on his position. And PSG had a fairly successful season. It was massively disappointing for them, of course, to go out of the Champions League semi-finals. They were the favorites against Dortmund, but they won the French league, they won the French Super Cup, and they are in the French Cup final as well. And what I love about Ugarte is that since he broke through in professional football, he hasn't had major injuries. He's playing a lot of games for PSG. As I said, when he didn't play, he was on the bench and he didn't miss the games because he was out injured. He played 47 games last season for Sporting as well, and 38 games 2 seasons ago with Sporting as well. And he also represented the Uruguay national team 15 times, so he's the national teammate of Darwin Nunez as well. And it's a little bit surprising that PSG want to sell him so soon after his transfer. Just 1 year ago he was signed. He plays the majority of the games at Paris Saint-Germain, especially in the league. He has started, but probably PSG are building a squad who are capable of winning the Champions League, and maybe they think Ugarte is not that level. And he actually is the 4th highest rated player in terms of who scored metrics in the whole PSG squad, and his numbers are actually very good. He ranks among the top 2% of defensive midfielders in Europe's top 5 leagues over the past year. For tackles made per 90 minutes, it's 4.15, sorry. In terms of interceptions, he's also in the top 2% in terms of 1.9 interceptions per game, and he's also in the top 5% for pass completion rate, with a tidy 91% pass completion rate. So I think he would be a pretty good transfer for Liverpool. It just, of course depends on the price. Liverpool don't want to overpay for a defensive midfielder, but if you consider that we were willing to pay 110 million for Moises Caicedo, then I think we are going to pay 55 million for Manuel Ugarte to Paris Saint-Germain. And considering that we really wanted Ugarte before he went to PSG, we were just not quick enough to get him. PSG swooped in very early in the transfer window, and then we ended up buying Endo for just 16 million pounds, which has been a tremendous transfer, great value for money. But Endo is a squad player at best. He shouldn't be Liverpool's starting 11 player if we want to challenge for the Premier League title, for the Champions League. He's a really good player. He filled a big gap in Liverpool's midfield after the departure of Fabinho. But now we need to sign the next Fabinho. I'm not sure if Ugarte is that kind of player, but Liverpool definitely need an out-and-out number 6 who is better than Endo, and Ugarte is definitely better than Endo, and he's also 7 years younger, which you have to factor in that he is not even at the peak of his career. And Endo and McAllister as the two defensive midfielders, it worked out okay this season, but I think had we had like a prime Fabinho, for example, in our defensive midfield, we would have been a lot closer to winning the Premier League title this season. And definitely Liverpool need to work out a way of playing and a way of assembling the squad so we concede less goals. We need to replenish and strengthen the defense, the defensive midfield spot, and Ugarte would go a long way in doing that. And you also have to remember that it was Jörg Schmadtke and Jurgen Klopp together who went for players like Romeo Lavia and Moises Caicedo, and then when those two players chose Chelsea, and in the end of course Liverpool were the ultimate winners because Chelsea overpaid massively for both of those players. In the end Liverpool went for Wataru, which is a good buy, don't get me wrong. He's great value for money. He's an absolutely brilliant signing when it comes to pound for pound. He's much better business than Caicedo or Lavia was for Chelsea, but Liverpool need to level up. And Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes will go for different type of players. And some journalists are even saying that Manuel Ugarte would be available for loan, but others are saying that Paris Saint-Germain don't want to loan him out. They want to either sell him or keep him in the squad. But you know, for other Premier League clubs, sometimes it worked out. Arsenal loaned out Martin Odegaard first from Real Madrid, and then they outright bought him 1 year later. So in theory, something similar could happen with Manuel Ugarte going on loan to Liverpool. I just don't see why Paris Saint-Germain would loan him out. They would probably try to get as much money for him as possible in this summer. If they put him up for sale, there is a reason for that, and they want to replace him with somebody else probably. You also have to factor in that Arne Slot will play a similar playing style but a different formation. Jurgen Klopp sometimes used the 4-2-3-1, but mainly Liverpool's main formation on Jurgen Klopp was 4-3-3, and Arne Slot usually uses a 4-2-3-1 formation with a double pivot at the base of the midfield, and then a right winger, left winger, attacking midfielder, and a striker. So in that double pivot, alongside either Endo or McAllister, Manuel Ugarte would be brilliant. And I think the Ugarte-McAllister double pivot would be working so well, because Ugarte could sit deep and anchor ahead of the defense, and McAllister could bump forward a little bit, but also they could both be deep-lying playmakers. And McAllister's passing range is so good. He could work in that role. Ugarte doesn't have that much experience in this sort of system. He only played 11 times in this formation in his career. Ugarte's main position has been the defensive midfielder in a midfield 3. So Liverpool's usual formation on Jurgen Klopp, he played in this position in a midfield 3 as a defensive midfielder. In 176 appearances he played in this role. Wataru is a decent ball-winning midfielder, but Ugarte is much better already in this aspect. He's much more physical, and he's also 7 years younger. I can't stress it enough. Wataru could be playing for Liverpool for the next 2 or 3 years, and as a squad player I think he's decent. He's a good option. But if you compare Wataru to Declan Rice of Arsenal, to Rodri of Man City, those are of course two of the best defensive midfielders in the whole world, and that's what Liverpool are up against. We should be comparing our squad to the likes of Arsenal and Man City, because in terms of metrics, Liverpool were very close to those teams. And actually, in terms of creating chances, Liverpool have been the best team in the Premier League, attacking-wise, creating chances. We just didn't take as many of them as we should. Hopefully next season Liverpool will score a lot more goals, but we need to concede a lot less goals. We need to stop this trend of Liverpool going behind all the time. We conceded first almost 50% of our games this season, which is really not great. We aren't defensively as solid as in our really title challenging seasons. So Liverpool need to improve their defense. I think that's without question. So I really want Liverpool to sign a brilliant defensive midfielder like Manuel Ugarte. It also depends on what kind of transfers we will make going out. We definitely are not renewing the contract of Joao Matip, even though Jurgen Klopp wanted to renew his contract. I think it's best if we let Matip go. He is on huge wages, and you never know how a player comes back after a 9 or 10 month injury layoff. It's too much of a risk, and we should sign a younger centre back who is a lot more reliable in terms of his fitness. We are also letting Thiago go. That's another player off the wage bill who is on big wages, £250,000. Thiago's story is so tragic because he was one of the best midfielders ever when Liverpool signed him at that time, playing I mean, and he came in and he was great for 2 seasons, but this season at Liverpool he only played like 5 minutes against Arsenal and then he got injured again, and it's a real tragedy because Liverpool would have collected a lot more points with Thiago in the team. Hopefully Liverpool don't have to sell any of our attacking players. Darwin Nunez keeps getting linked to Barcelona, but Fabrizio Romano said on Darwin Nunez we had many stories, but to be completely honest, I'm hearing that there is nothing really concrete into it. No conversations with other clubs, no negotiations, and it's not because there is no interest in Darwin Nunez, but because he's a really expensive striker. And this statement echoes what Liverpool want to do. Liverpool want to keep him, and if they would consider selling Nunez, we would only sell him for 80, 90, maybe even 100 million pounds. Darwin Nunez occupies 2 or 3 defenders. He's a chance magnet. His underlying numbers are absolutely brilliant. He almost gets as many chances as Erling Haaland, and imagine if he starts converting more of them. Even if he just starts converting chances at an average rate, he would score like 7, 8, 9, 10 more goals a season in all competitions, and he already is a pretty decent striker. He's almost on 20 goals and he has almost 15 assists as well. So Darwin Nunez can definitely improve his numbers next season, in my opinion. And I think under Arne Slot, where we will create loads of chances, Darwin Nunez will get loads, and hopefully he can calm himself down and work on his finishing, work on being more calm in front of goal, and work also on holding his run a little bit and staying on side more often. And also congratulations to Pep Lijnders, who is going to be the Red Bull Salzburg manager from next season. It has been confirmed now that Vitor Matos, another assistant manager of Jurgen Klopp, and Pep Lijnders, they are joining Salzburg, and they absolutely have to win the league there, because if you don't win the league, you will get sacked. And Salzburg have by far the most money in the Austrian league, and Lijnders said that this is a real privilege that he's going to be the Salzburg manager after Eindhoven, PSV Eindhoven, Porto and Liverpool. I'm now moving to another exceptional club with a really good structure and a particular focus on youth development. So I will follow Salzburg's results, and he could eventually become a Leipzig manager in the future, because Salzburg and Leipzig are like sister clubs or brother clubs under the Red Bull franchise, or I don't know how you say it, multi-club network, and they have a really good, of course, understanding and connection. Lijnders, I think, is a good environment because he will not work under immense pressure like he would if he joined a Premier League club. And Salzburg are in the Champions League, and they also will play in the Club World Championship, like the Club World Cup it's called, a 32-team club tournament, which is going to be held every 4 years. It's ridiculous how many fixtures those clubs will have. I think Man City and Chelsea qualified from the English leagues. So I wish Lijnders good luck at Salzburg, and we will follow his career as well, because he is now part of the Liverpool family. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Have a nice day. Thanks for watching. See you later. Goodbye.